Port Said University, Faculty of Commerce, English program. This is our course, Readings in Organizational Behavior. And this is the 7th week, the lecture of 22 March 2020. In this lecture, we are going to discuss the third chapter entitled Constituents of OB Model. We need, in this lecture, to understand the constituents, the levels and components of the OB model. Learning objectives. After reading the current chapter, you would be able to, first, identify the 3 levels of analysis of the OB. Second, demonstrate the constituents of OB model. Finally, recognize the interrelations between the OB model levels and components. And of course, you will find this chapter at your textbook, pages from 53 to 72. OB 3 levels of analysis. Indeed, if you think for a moment, you will find that the term of organizational behavior may be an inaccurate designation of this field of study. It is not the study of how organizations behave, but rather the study of individual behavior in an organizational setting. So, this includes the study of how individuals behave alone, as well as how individuals behave in groups. Accordingly, the purpose of organizational behavior is to gain greater understanding of those factors and forces that influence individual and group dynamics in an organizational setting, so that individuals and the groups, and of course the organizations to which they belong, may become more efficient and effective. This exhibit 3.1 represents the 3 levels of analysis. The first level is individual level, the second level is group level, and the third level, the overall level, is organization level. The first level, as we said, is the individual level of analysis. At the individual level of analysis, organizational behavior involves the study of learning, perception, creativity, motivation, personality, turnover, task performance, cooperative behavior, deviant behavior, ethics, and cognition. At the second level, at the group level of analysis, organizational behavior involves the study of group dynamics, intra-group conflict, and intergroup conflict and cohesion, the topic of leadership, power, norms, interpersonal communication, networks, and rules. At the third level of analysis, at the organizational level of analysis, organizational behavior involves the study of topics such as organizational culture, organizational structure, cultural diversity, interorganizational cooperation and conflict, change, technology, and external environmental forces. Developing an OB model. A model is an abstraction of reality, a simplified representation of some real-world phenomenon. So, in Exhibit 3.2, we will present the key elements of the OB model. You will find this exhibit at your textbook, page 60. This exhibit proposes 3 types of variables: inputs, processes, and outputs at 3 levels of analysis: individual level, group level, and organizational level. You have to know that the model proceeds from left to right, with inputs leading to processes and the processes, of course, leading to the outcomes. And we need to notice that the model also shows that outcomes can influence inputs in the future through the feedback process. So, this is our OB model, and as I told you, you will find that this model proceeds from left inputs to right outputs. The inputs include variables at 3 levels: individual level, group level, organizational level. And there are a lot of processes at the 3 levels as well, at the individual level, at the group level, and at the organizational level. The inputs and the processes will result in outcomes at the 3 levels as well. And this is the feedback process. So the outcomes can influence inputs in the future through this feedback process. As this model, inputs are the variables like personality, group structure, and organizational culture that lead to processes. As this model, process if inputs are like the nouns in organizational behavior, processes are like verbs. So, processes are actions that individuals, groups, and organizations engage in as a result of inputs and that lead to a certain outcome. The outcomes are the key variables that you want to explain or predict and that are affected by some other variables. So, what are the primary outcomes in OB? Scholars have emphasized individual level outcomes like attitudes and satisfaction, task performance, citizenship behavior, and withdrawal behavior. At the group level, cohesion and functioning are the dependent variables. Finally, at the organizational level, we look at overall profitability and productivity and survival. Hereby, we will briefly discuss each of these outcomes. So, back to our inclusive model for the OB at the page 60. You will find the outputs of OB. At the individual level, you will find attitudes and stress. Attitudes are the evaluations employees make, ranging from positive to negative, about objects, people, or events at the organizational context. The stress is an unpleasant psychological process that occurs in response to an environmental pressure. For the task performance is the combination of effectiveness and efficiency at doing your core job tasks. This is what we mean by task performance. For the group functioning, the performance of a sports team is more than the sum of individual players' performance. Group functioning in work organizations is more than the sum of individual task performances. So, what does it mean to say that a group is functioning effectively? In some organizations, an effective group is one that stays focused on a core task and achieves its ends as specified. Other organizations look for teams that are able to work together collaboratively to provide excellent performance. Others look for group creativity and the flexibility to adapt to changing situations. At the last level of analysis, at the organizational level outcomes, we will find productivity and survival. Productivity, the highest level of analysis in organizational behavior, is the organization as a whole. An organization will be productive if it achieves its goals by transforming inputs into outputs at the lowest cost. Thus, productivity requires both effectiveness and efficiency. So, for example, in a hospital, the hospital will be effective when it successfully meets the needs of its clients. And it will be efficient when it can do so at low cost. And, in this point, we need to refer to very important point. For the service organizations, they must include customer needs and requirements in assessing their effectiveness. Why? Because there is a clear chain of cause and effect, runs from employee attitudes and behavior to customer attitudes and behavior to a service organization's productivity. Also, at organizational level outcomes, we will find survival. Survival, the final considered outcome, is the organizational survival, which is simply evidence that the organization is able to exist and grow over the long term. The survival of an organization depends not just on how productive the organization is, but also on how well it fits to its environment. So, thanks so much for all of yours, and hope to meet you soon, inshallah. Thank you so much.